Mr. Carlson Tong, Professor Wah, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome back to the symposium. The section on Research Impact Fund will now begin. May I invite the Chairman of Research Grants Council, Professor Benjamin Wah, to give a presentation on the Research Impact Fund. Professor Wah, please.
Good afternoon. This is the second part of the presentation. And before I start, actually, I want to mention a joke that is at the break. Somebody mentioned to me that I need to wear an armor vest in order to come up to the stage. So therefore, now I hope you'll be kind to me in this next 1.5 hours. So today what I'm presenting is a new scheme called the Research Impact Fund. And this is a scheme that we are launching in the beginning of next year. So this is really a consultation today on how we are planning to move forward. Nothing is concrete at this point. We are like to listen to your input and your comments to see how we can adjust the scheme to do better. So this is the outline of my talk. There are 6 elements: background, objective, principles, framework, examples, and timetable. So let me first start on the background. The background of this is driven by the 2017 policy address given by Mr. C.Y. Leung. And let me quote from him what this in the policy address. The government will request universities to conduct more impactful and translational research projects that meet Hong Kong's needs, so as to be in line with the work promoting the development of industries and reindustrialization. And then in this regard, the government will request the University Grants Committee to complete the review on the allocation of research grants within 1 year and expand the assessment criteria to include research impact and effectiveness of knowledge and technology transfer, end quote. So this is really what we are looking for today. That is, this is a response to that request from the CE on how we can generate more impact on the research. I mentioned in the last session that the aim of the research is to generate impact, not just to get money or to get success in the projects. Secondly, in the review of the Research Grants Council, it also says that the consultancy report says that it has recommended that there are calls for reviews of the broader societal impact of the research the RGC has funded. So this too forms the background on what we are discussing today. That is, we like to develop projects that create more impact. Now, of course, this is just a starting point on what we are doing. So this was approved by the UGC, and the projects will be administered by the RGC. Initially, it will be funded by the central allocation vote from the UGC. The amount in the triennium is $150 million divided into 3 years. So each year, there will be $50 million in terms of the funding. Next, let's look at the objectives of what we are trying to do. Here, there are 2 objectives: to initiate a change in the local research culture. Now, everybody writing proposals know that you want to have money to do your research, and you want to write papers to generate high academic impact. But we want to go beyond academic impact. We want to have impact in the society, impact for the community, impact in the world. So this is a change in the mentality and the culture of our researchers to go beyond academic impact. Secondly is to encourage a greater volume of true collaborative research beyond academia. We all know that when we talk about collaborations, they all work together when writing the proposal, but after the proposal is funded, they divide up the money and then go each on their own way. So therefore, this is not what we meant by collaboration. We want to have true collaboration. Yeah, I'm mentioning that. I'm mentioning true collaboration. We want to have true collaborations going beyond just, symbolic collaborations at this point. So this is, again, the objective of what we are looking for. And the collaboration is not just collaboration among your peers. Collaborations can also go beyond academia into the society, NGOs, governments, and we want collaboration, true collaboration at that level. So what are the general principles? The general principle, first, it applies to the 8 UGC-funded universities at this point. Initially, this is for the first, the pilot proposal funding. It will be operated on a competitive basis, it's non-recurring, and it is a one-off, and the proposal would, on all academic disciplines, are welcome. That is, we are looking at proposals in humanities and social sciences, science, engineering, and medicine, law, everywhere. So in a way, we say that we are looking for proposals or ideas that would generate impact in the long run. Now, we all understand that we are writing proposals. We are not really showing the real impact. So in a way, there is really no way to demonstrate the impact in your proposal because it hasn't happened yet. You have to do the projects in order to generate the impact. But we want you to think about the impact from the beginning, from the time when you are writing the proposal, and to show a pathway leading from the initial idea all the way to the end when there could be impact. And also we want you to round up your collaborators from the beginning in order to have the support, the necessary support to do the research. So this is what we are looking for in the principle. Continuing on, the proposal would be, the priorities will be given to proposals that build on the previous work. So the research is not starting from scratch. It must be built on something, some foundation, either from your experience, from your past work that you have done, that would form the foundation of this new work. And it involves multiple disciplines or are problem-based. So this is the idea that we want you to start with your own background, your foundation, propose something that could lead to impact. Now, we require 100% matching from the universities, meaning that if you give you $1, the university would put up another $1 for you to do the research. And the funding limit is between $4 million to $10 million from the RGC. That is, the cap is at $10 million. This means that each project can run from $8 million, including matching, all the way to $20 million or even beyond. And of course, we said that priority would be given, that if you want to put up an even higher matching, there could be a higher priority. So the project could go even beyond, could go beyond $20 million, depending on how much you want to match. But the cap from the RGC would be $10 million. Would be $10 million. So I think that this is, but minimally we require 100% matching from the universities. A longer term and larger scale grant supported. So this would be a maximum of 5-year project. It can go from, there's no, possibly 1 year, but you can go all the way to 5 years. So we understand that impact is not generated in a short time. You need a longer term research in order to generate impact. So I will show you some examples later on what are projects that we have funded in the past that constitute good impact. So now the operational framework on how we plan to operate. So here, the important part is the question that you would ask is, what is impact and how to define research impact? So now we refer back to the RAE 2020 guidance notes, and you should all have received the draft guidance notes last week or this week. So let me quote from there. For the purpose of the Research Assessment Exercise 2020, impact is defined as the demonstrable contributions, beneficial effects, valuable changes, or advantages that research qualitatively brings to the economy, society, culture, public policy or services, health, the environment, or quality of life, and that are beyond the academia. All right, so this is what we have quoted from the RAE 2020 guideline. Now, of course, that in the RAE 2020, we are looking at outputs that were generated in the last 20 years that lead to impact in the last 6 years. Now, of course, for research proposals, we cannot go for 20-year proposals. So here we are looking at research that you can at least propose that hopefully you would demonstrate that there is a pathway to convince the reviewers that there could be high impact at the end or the successful completion of the project. So the assessment criteria will be based on the academic merit, the research impact. So the impact here is proposed, not realized at this point, and possibly other criteria. So now when we talk about measurement of research impact, how to capture and measure research impact in a proposal. Now, we all understand that in the RE 2020, you have to develop an impact statement that would actually showcase your impact of your research. But how do we measure impact in a proposal? So here I would give you some guidelines on what we meant by impact. First, it is the track record of the applicant. That is, of course, that it goes without saying that the applicant must be qualified to do the research. Second is the environment or the support structure that a university has created for enabling the impact. So the university should provide the infrastructure, the lab space, or whatever that is necessary in order to foster impact of the research. The third is that there is a clear statement on how impact is to be pursued. Now here, again, this is proposed. So here that we are looking for is a pathway to show that the applicant has thought hard about how to try to secure impact beyond academia. You are not looking for citations of your paper. Doesn't mean that after 5 years you have so many citations. What they are proposing to do and how to start gathering evidence on impact from the beginning and so on. So that is, this is something that you need to think about from the beginning, not as an afterthought when the research is completed. So start from the beginning, articulate potential impact in your research, and document that in your proposal to showcase to the reviewers that impact is eminent in this research. So this is what we are asking you to do. So the overriding criteria is, of course, the quality of the research itself, but a good pathway statement will strengthen the proposal. So it requires good proposal together with a pathway statement. Now, of course, that if you only have the pathway statement but without a sound research, it's not going to fly. It's not going to work in that way, so you need both in order to succeed. The last part here on what we are looking for would be supporting statements from potential users of the research. Again, I think that today in many of the research grants that we funded, it almost becomes like an afterthought. That is like when we ask the PIs, who are the users? They said, oh, we would write the papers, and after the papers are written, somebody would use our research. So this is how people are doing research today. But here in this impact fund, we are asking you to at least articulate from the beginning who are the users or customers of your research. This does not have to be companies. It doesn't have to involve money. It could be NGOs. It could be government. It could be social enterprises. Or it could be companies themselves. So again, I think in the beginning, think about who are the users of your research. Why do they think that this research is important to them if the research is successful? So this is what we are looking for in the impact. And the evaluation process is that it is a two-stage application. Rather than asking all the investigators to write a full proposal in the beginning, it would involve a pre-proposal from the beginning. And with the pre-proposal is just to pass some kind of a minimal threshold. Then it goes into the full proposal stage. The pre-proposal most likely will be evaluated by a panel, and the full proposal will be evaluated by external reviewers together with end users and practitioners. That is like here we are not limiting ourselves to only academics reviewing the proposal, but it could also be end users and practitioners looking at the research itself. And this it will be done through a peer review process. Now, when the full proposal has gone through the threshold of quality, then there will be an interview stage. There will be a panel, and the PIs and his or her team will be invited to come in, and defend or at least explain to the panel what they are doing, why the proposed research is important. So the evaluation process is how to engage the potential beneficiaries to participate in the proposal evaluation process from the beginning. For example, the government, NGOs, or industry to provide comments on the proposal. And I mentioned earlier that the evaluation could involve non-academics in the process. And as similar to all the other major projects that we are doing to avoid any conflict of interest, we would like to exclude the local academics in the final evaluation process. There could be reviewers who are local academics. There could be NGOs or other people from local to review the proposal. But in the interviewing stage and in the decision stage, we will try to avoid having local academics for one academic to evaluate proposal from another institution. It sometimes could be problematic. So to avoid any perceived conflict of interest, not really necessarily real conflict of interest, but perceived conflict of interest, we would exclude local academics in the evaluation process. Then we said the projects are up to 5 years, between $4 million to $10 million per project from the RGC. So therefore, potentially with the 100% matching, it will be up to $8 million to $20 million per project, including the matching funds. There will be a midterm review. If it is like a 5-year project, there will be after 2 years or 2.5 years, there will be a midterm review. This review could be on-site visit, or it could be a paper review. At this point in time, we have not decided on the exact mechanism yet. So lastly, I want to show you some examples of projects to showcase what is meant by good impact. Now, of course, when you see those projects, you will say, oh, those are extreme cases. Those are so exceptional that we may not be, are we really looking for projects of those caliber? But what we want to show you is that these are the best case scenario. These are the best projects on what we are looking for. So first is the genomic and molecular studies of a salinity tolerance locus in the wild soybean genome. So in this project, the PI has successfully obtained important genomic data and constructed unique generic materials to identify a major salinity tolerance locus in the wild soybean genome. The project has an indirect output of various stress-tolerant soybean lines. Through further collaborations with the agricultural scientists in mainland China, 2 new soybean lines were generated and have been approved by the Gansu province for release to farmers for cultivation use. The project has a societal and economic impact in China. Of course, they have published papers in Nature and Science. That goes without saying. But it shows that the projects at the completion, they actually have engaged practitioners and local farmers in using the idea and generated 2 soybean lines for practice. So this is one project that shows that there is impact. The second project is called the Center for Research into Circulating Fetal Nucleic Acid. So in this project, a non-invasive parental screening of Down syndrome based on cell-free DNA analysis in maternal plasma has been developed. And the new screening is practiced in over 90 countries worldwide and reduces the number of conventional screening methods for Down syndromes, which are invasive and associated relatively high false positive rates. And the PI has set up a company which is located in Hong Kong for the development and provision of non-invasive parental testing in Hong Kong, and the research output has led to a worldwide transformation of how parental testing is conducted. The project has clear global impact on health and economy. So this is another good example to show that from the time when the research is done to the conclusion of that particular project in 5 years, this has actually been realized in terms of the translation into practice. Now, there are 2 other examples. The next is a Center for Marine Environmental Research and Innovating Technology. So in this example, a range of innovative technology and marketable products for assessing the status of the marine environment and environmental risk, cost-effective pollution control, and biomediation technologies have been developed. The developments from the projects such as the Global Metal Monitoring Program, detection of endocrine disrupting chemicals, and an environmental impact assessment system have been adopted and used worldwide. The project has a significant impact on environment. So this is, again, showing that the project lead to impact worldwide. The last one is in the business studies area, Hong Kong Institute of Economics and Business Strategy. So in this project, the PI has set up a research center for the study of economic policy and business strategy on Hong Kong and its role in China and the Asia-Pacific region. The center has played an important role in providing research-based answers to important policy questions, and the articulation of policy alternatives to the private sector is important for companies to adopt appropriate strategies. The project has a societal and economic impact. So those are the 4 examples in various areas in science, in medicine, business studies, and so on. So these are perhaps the best example of what we can hope for if we can generate projects of this kind. But of course that we understand that when you are making the proposal, nothing is guaranteed. But at least in writing a proposal, we like you to follow some kind of a systematic process to demonstrate or at least to articulate the potential impact of the project. So finally, the timeline in December to January of next year is to finalize the operational framework for the Research Impact Fund and consult the RGC and the UGC. So in the December meeting of the RGC, we would look at the guidelines and then get final approval from the UGC in January. In early 2018, there will be the call for proposals, and the mid-2018 shortlist for full proposals. In December 2018, the assessment of proposals by the RGC through an interview process, the selection interview, and the announcement of results will be in January 2019. So that's today's presentation, and I think that we can now open this up for question and answer and consultation. And so